Disappointment. This is the perfect word to describe the Clippers for the past 6 seasons. One would think that if you acquired Kawhi Leonard and paired him with Paul George, that they would become a championship team. And while they were put into positions to win, every single season there just seems to be something standing in their way. Injuries. In fact, it's become so bad that Kawhi has become the poster boy for load management, an image that has been crafted since the Spurs did so with their stars in the early 2010s. But what if I said we know why the Clippers couldn't win? Or, to put it in better words, why Kawhi Leonard just couldn't stay healthy. This revelation exposed the truth, which includes the Los Angeles Clippers and Kawhi tampering for 2 whole years. It uncovered the Clippers' shady business practices. It also displayed the true severity of Kawhi Leonard's injuries, which was something that was always hinted at by the 2024 Olympic team. And all uncovered by one man who was betrayed by the Clippers. And his name is Randy Shelton. So the obvious question to start off here is, who is Randy Shelton? Well, he's a former Clippers strength and conditioning coach. He was Kawhi's personal trainer from San Diego State University as a former strength and conditioning coach there, but he was hired by Kawhi to prepare for the NBA and worked with him through 2017 on the Spurs. He was scouted out a little after Kawhi Leonard's injury in 2017 by Zaza Pachulia by, of course, the Los Angeles Clippers. He was convinced to collude with the Clippers through not only the end of Kawhi's Spurs tenure, but also when Kawhi joined the Raptors for his championship stint. When Kawhi joined the Clippers, Shelton was promised a position in the medical staff, but he was eventually weeded out as Kawhi's years went by. As a result of this, he filed a lawsuit against the Clippers, which in turn uncovered the true nature of the Los Angeles Clippers. And we now know why Kawhi has been injury-ridden ever since he has joined the Clippers. Let's go back to 2017 and look at Game 1 of the 2017 Western Conference Finals. The Golden State Avengers were running through the competition, but then they faced the Spurs with Thanos, aka Kawhi Leonard. In 23 minutes, he would dominate the Warriors with a 23-point lead before his Achilles heel came crashing down on Zaza Pachulia. From there, Kawhi's championship aspirations for the season came crashing down. We all know how this story goes, but this was the golden opportunity the Clippers, and specifically General Manager Mark Hughes, was waiting for. You see, Hughes noticed that Shelton was close to Kawhi, so he reached out to him for private health information about the player. As this was occurring, Kawhi was beefing with Pop and the Spurs players such as Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. So this was as good of a time as any for Kawhi to think about other team options. And so, Shelton and Mark Hughes started the 2-year-long collusion. Given that Kawhi was under contract still, Hughes made it clear with Randy that if they were to discuss this, that discretion would be needed when discussing his health. Shelton seemingly agreed to this, as Hughes scheduled many meetings with him, and from Shelton's account, they spoke in at least 15 calls on the phone and met at least in 7 meetings. In these calls and meetings, 22 total, Hughes insisted on the details of Kawhi's needs, and Shelton was happy to oblige. Hughes desperately wanted Kawhi, it was obvious, and knowing that Shelton was close to him, he tempted Shelton a position as a strength and conditioning coach for the Clippers due to his connection with the star. So, while in July of 2019, Hughes announces to the public that he never had any contact with Kawhi Leonard, behind closed doors, he provides a verbal promise to Shelton a position in the strength, conditioning, and performance department if Kawhi can sign to the Clippers. And as we know now, this eventually ended with Kawhi joining the Los Angeles Clippers with PG. Of course, this lawsuit happened because Randy felt like his promises were not being kept, and this is certainly the case. To quickly sum up why we know all of this information now, the Clippers minimized Shelton's role and brought in another person to take on the role he was previously promised. The Clippers also, as we will see later, ignored the words of Shelton on Kawhi's injuries and made the injuries worse than they already appeared. To this day, we haven't seen any punishment handed down to the Clippers for colluding into signing Kawhi to the Clippers, but I expect sometime in the future that won't be the case. What's worse though is how they have managed Kawhi through it all. In July of 2021, Kawhi Leonard underwent a surgery regarding his ACL injury he suffered against the Jazz. As we all know, he was out for the 2021-2022 regular season and was able to return the year afterwards. But according to Randy Shelton, the timetable for Kawhi Leonard's return was 730 days, or 2 years, instead of the 1 year that was actually provided by the Clippers. And this was all due to the Clippers viewing the original timeline as unacceptable. In a meeting held by the Clippers, due to the Clippers not making the playoffs for the 2021-22 season, they wanted Kawhi to also come back and join the team. And because of this urge for him to come back, they decided to load manage Kawhi Leonard. In the words of Randy Shelton, after the second game of the 2022-23 regular season, Kawhi Leonard played significant minutes and complained of swelling and inflammation in his left knee. This somewhat matches the timetable provided, as Kawhi actually played in the first and third games of the regular season. After Kawhi played his second game of the season, it was later revealed on October 24th that Kawhi had cartilage damage in his knee, probably compensation for the ACL not being fully recovered. The Clippers, instead of preventing him from playing, gave him biologics and let him return to the court a month later without fully healing properly. Kawhi Leonard would play 3 more games, averaging 20 minutes again, before afterwards suffering 2 ruptured ligaments in his right ankle, probably compensating for the compromised left leg he's been experiencing, as well as the ACL still needing to recover. The Clippers should have seen this as a red flag to pull Kawhi out for the season, but the Clippers wanted Kawhi to be productive now. And despite Shelton suggesting that Kawhi sit out in the original timetable and recover, he was excluded as they proceeded to let Kawhi play more games. The Clippers irresponsibly upped the minute usage for Kawhi Leonard, despite his ACL not experiencing the full time needed to recover. In December of 2022, he played 32 minutes per game. In January of 2023, he played 35 minutes per game. And in February of 2023, he played 38 minutes per game. At the end of the season, the Clippers even made Kawhi Leonard play in a back-to-back game. This would result in Kawhi Leonard's body failing him after 2 playoff games against the Phoenix Suns. After Game 2, Kawhi was reported out for the rest of the series due to a sprain, but in actuality, this was due to a torn meniscus in his leg. So the Clippers let Kawhi play through an ACL that needed an extra year to recover, a knee experiencing cartilage damage on the same leg as the injured ACL, a torn meniscus in the same leg, and an ankle with 2 ruptured ligaments compensating for a bad leg. But despite all that the Clippers have done, I don't think they bear 100% responsibility. Yes, Shelton was a huge part in Kawhi signing with the Clippers, and the Clippers also made Kawhi play through his injuries. But at the end of it all, Kawhi allowed all this to happen. You see, when Kawhi wasn't 100% with the Spurs injuries, he made sure to recover for the 2017-18 season. This was despite Pop sending out his soldiers, Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, to convince Kawhi to continue playing. This Clippers saga has been much worse, and despite the assumed pressures the Clippers has stated in the lawsuit, Kawhi continued to play through multiple season-ending injuries. This interview, where Kawhi speaks on his ACL, is also revealing to me. On October 24th of 2023, he noted that there is a precise moment when a player feels they are fully back. On that same date last year, I noted that he suffered cartilage damage in his knee due to compensating for his ACL. And if we look at the timetable for his ACL recovery, that was the first year of a 2-year timeline. This means to me that he was fully aware of the risks as well as the appropriate timeline for his injury, and he allowed the Clippers to let him play through them. Also, any player should be receiving a proper diagnosis of an injury, and I'm sure Shelton would have made Kawhi aware of this. This is just to highlight that Kawhi himself played a part in this. Maybe he was desperate to play in games and was aware of the load management criticism that he was receiving, or he just wanted to win that badly. Despite this, it was reckless of the Clippers to even allow him to play through this, and this decision had consequences in the following years. In the past NBA season, Kawhi was relatively healthy and played in most games in the season. This was good news, as players now have to play in 80% of their games in order to be considered for regular season awards. However, he suffered a right knee injury that took him out for the rest of the season and playoffs. This was on the same leg with the ACL injury. And when he tried to play in the Olympics, he was forced to withdraw by the team, as the team felt like they were forced to pivot after seeing the full extent of Kawhi's injuries. And even as we see the Clippers going into this season, the Clippers are still without Kawhi Leonard, especially with a team that stepped up with the absence of Paul George. The Kawhi Leonard saga for the Clippers has been a roller coaster, full of ups and downs. But it seems that every player in this saga has been a contributor to the Clippers' underachievements. And one has to wonder, even if Kawhi Leonard gets healthy again, do the Clippers still have a chance to win a championship? For many, they feel like that ship has sailed, but for some, people still believe that they still have a chance. Either way, I believe it's safe to say that the Clippers brought this upon themselves. I appreciate those who stuck around to the end of the video. And if you got here, I'm just here to say thank you. Subscribe if you enjoyed the content that you saw here today, and I have a backlog of other content that you might be interested in.